And a quorum of members present, I'll call the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting for Monday, June 16th, 2025 to order. The first order of business is to consider approval or denial of various license applications. We do have, I believe, a denial recommendation on our list. It's a public transport license for Terry French. Is Terry French in the room to speak with us this evening? Our ordinance allows denied applicants the right to discuss the record and the recommendation with the committee. Terry French. I'll let the record show Terry French has not appeared, so that denial recommendation is the only one. Also in the packet, you have a list of event approvals, a number of which are recurring events. We've got some Class B beer and Class C wine licenses, amusement device licenses, entertainment facility. We have pending recommendations, which were ownership changes for Taqueria Tres Hermanos, changing from a sole proprietor to an LLC, Truly's Eatery and Bar taking over in the same site where Nooch's Eatery had been on Merrill Avenue. Both of those were recommended for unanimous approval by the subcommittee immediately preceding this meeting. Also on the list was one Class B beer and liquor license that needed to be awarded. We had 3 applicants for that. The 3 applicants were the Wausau Museum of Contemporary Art, currently holding a Class B beer, Class C wine license, so they are serving something. Ash Gardens, which is infused on East Wausau Avenue, is holding a reserve license, but it is a full license. And then Kid and Kind at 2108 Grand Avenue was holding beer only, Class B. The committee recommended with only one opposing vote that the available Class B beer and liquor license be awarded to Kid and Kind, with the discussion that they would likely have the most frequent and impactful use of the license. It was noted in the subcommittee that at license renewal time, July 1st, it's expected that we may have 2 additional Class B licenses come available, which both of the other applicants were instructed that there will be a application process for those licenses and that their application materials from this cycle would be saved. So we likely will be meeting with them and any others early in July to work on those licenses that come available, assuming that they do. So that is really all we have on the license front. Does anyone have any questions on those? Go ahead, Cody.
Thank you. So one thing I also wanted to note on here, so you did also receive an application for an entertainment facility license. That was in the email that was sent out to the committee with the packet. It is not on the list just because our licensing software does not have an entertainment facility license because it's rarely used. Everyone had the chance to review that application. The owners are here, and I recommend approval for that because it's one of the rare situations where it's a license that's rarely applied for and used, but the owners knew about it, they came to us, they discussed it, and are working to get licensed before they open. And it's going to be I think a claw machine arcade type thing in.
I think that's similar to the licensing we have in place at WOW, right?
Yes, it would be similar to that, except WOW has alcohol, this one would not.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So does anyone have questions on any of those licenses? If not, I would accept a motion to accept or deny licenses as recommended by staff.
I will make that motion.
We have a motion from Larson. Is there a second? Second from Lukens. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. Item 2 is to consider approval or denial of Class 1 special event license for the 2025 Wausau Labor Day Parade. The Wausau Labor Day Parade is currently in the process of working with the Wausau PD to determine an acceptable route. I know we had discussed a while back in this committee, we are moving to one set parade route that's easier to protect and police for both crowd control and crowd safety, as well as safety of the participants, given things that we've discussed that we live in a different time now as far as parade safety. And so they are working with the PD. They would love to end their event at the Labor Temple on 3rd Avenue, and so they're working to figure out a way to do that. The route, or the proposed route that is on the diagram in the packets, I think the department is still working with them on that. Is that correct, Chief?
Yeah, we've had several meetings with their organizational committee This is their latest proposal of how they feel that parade route could go. I have not met with them since our staff met with DPW staff and looked at logistically how their plan would work and what the impact on traffic flow within the city would be. I mean, I would say that we're not in favor of shutting down First Avenue, Third Avenue, and Stewart Avenue all at the same time. But we also have some creative solutions that were proposed by DPW that may include, like, we can appreciate why you want to end the Labor Day parade at the Labor Temple. But it may impact the length of the parade, but what would be doable, and I just haven't had a chance to talk to them yet, would be to shut down Stewart Avenue. They would start in Marathon Park, come down Stewart Avenue. We would shut down Third Avenue north of the Labor Temple, allow the parade to go the wrong way against traffic on Third Avenue because it's shut down, go past the Labor Temple. Everyone at the Labor Temple could see the end of the parade, and then those floats would then travel west past the Labor Temple up to 4th Avenue, hook right back around to Stewart Avenue that's closed both ways. The floats could return without being involved in traffic down Stewart Avenue, back to Marathon Park, to their place of origination where all the vehicles and everything are parked. So that's doable for us. Our standard parade route is going to be the Christmas parade route, which can start at Stewart Avenue and it can end at the 400 block. Where we're flexible is if you look at the Memorial Day parade, it goes down Stewart Avenue, but then they hung a hard right on River Drive and ended in the big gravel parking lot over by the old VFW. Like, that's workable for us because it doesn't require additional infrastructure, it doesn't require additional staff to be able to do that. And that's going to be one of those things, if we get additional parades that want to occur in the city, we want to stick to that Stewart Avenue, and then depending on, we can be flexible with them, but not to shut down our main thoroughfare north, our main thoroughfare south, and, you know, one of the three that go east-west through the city.
Right. I think to keep parades safe now in the climate we live in for both the participants and the spectators, a single route that everyone is familiar with that you can logistically manage is much easier than, I guess if you recall, the Labor Day parade historically had traveled down Third Avenue and used all of the side streets for staging, which was really, really difficult. So I think the staging in the park actually may make things easier for them as well in terms of the lineup. I think the appropriate motion for us to take on this really would be to approve the event contingent upon an acceptable delineated route between the organizer and the police department, and they can work that out then among themselves and then receive their permit once that's established, if that would work. Go ahead, Carol.
And I can make that motion, but I just wanted to say thank you for your willingness to work with them, because I know the Labor Day Parade, there are many, many groups represented in that, that, you know, Labor Day is important too, so I really appreciate that. I had been contacted by some of them as well, and so I appreciate that. Unless anyone else has a question or a comment, did you have comments? Because I'll wait to make the motion. I was
If
gonna-
not, go ahead with the motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion. Do I need to repeat it?
No, is your motion to
To do
approve the
exactly-
Class 1 event contingent upon the delineation of the appropriate parade route between the organizer and the police?
It is.
Okay, so with
Second
that,
that.
we'll take a second.
I second that.
Second by Watson. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. Item 3 is consider approval or denial of alcohol beverage license transfer for Limerick's Pub. This is actually a change of location, same owner, same bar, but they would like to move or have moved their establishment up onto Third Street from where they had been located on Scott Street. So I believe that the clerk has met with the owners. Obviously, the paperwork's been filled out for that transfer. I don't believe from a licensing standpoint, we've had issues with that license, so otherwise, it's just basically a change of address to pick it up from one place and move it to the other, so. Okay. All right, anybody have questions on that at all? If not, is there a motion to approve that move?
I'll make the motion to approve
Motion from
that
Larson,
move.
is there a second?
I will second
Second
that.
from Watson. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well.
Is he going to come in for his provisional license in, or,
Yes, I believe he's planning on coming in tomorrow to get that provisional license.
okay, because I'm just surprised that he's not here.
They're not required to come. We
Yeah.
invite them. We, I believe, informed him of the meeting last week when we met with them.
Okay, thank you.
But that will at least allow them to legally function until the council takes its action, so that's important. Let's see. Item number 4 is discussion and possible action granting a temporary extension of premise for Cop Shop Limited. The agent is Tammy Ness, doing business as Cop Shop Pub at 701 Washington Street. They would like to cordon off an outdoor area for a single-day event. And you've got in your packet is a diagram for the area that they're looking to delineate. We have done this for other establishments before, for single-day events. Their timeline seems reasonable. I guess, Chief, do you have thoughts on this one at all?
It's funny you should ask. As it turns out, there is a fundraiser for one of our partners with the city, which is the Humane Society, that we write big checks to help take care of the animals. And it just so happens, should you approve this event, that the fire chief, the mayor, and myself have all agreed to spend time in their dunk tank in an effort to raise money for the Humane Society. So, should you approve it, I will make fun of you and encourage you to spend money to throw a ball at a thing to make me go swimming.
We will
Thank you.
practice our pitching skills. Any questions on that one? Sarah, go ahead.
I think that just incentivized me to want to make the motion even more. So can I move to accept this?
Sure. So we have a motion to approve from Watson. Is there a second? Second from Lukens. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. You bet. Thank you for coming in. Item number 5 is discussion and possible action on approving a contract for the Wisconsin Hazardous Materials Response System Services with the state of Wisconsin. I think this is a contract that cyclically renews, right, Chief, for our hazmat team?
Yeah, it's been doing so for quite some time. It's a 2-year contract, middle of the year, but
Well, and when it comes to hazmat, we are the only show in the area, right? So,
we are. This is, with the state, they have 8 different teams, 6 of which are type 2 now, and 2 that are type 1. We're one of the 6 type 2 teams, furthest north in the state, so we have the biggest area, but we have the least amount of calls, thankfully.
big territory to cover, but valuable work. So I guess, does anyone have any questions about that? If not, is there a motion to approve the renewal of the hazmat contract?
I'll make the motion to renew the contract.
Motion from Larson. Is there a second? Second from Watson. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries.
Quick question, then.
Go ahead.
Does this need to go to councils, or does it go after this committee, that we can sign it and send it? It does? Okay, so we can put it on next week's, maybe?
Yep. Okay. Yep, we'll put it to the next available council meeting, and we'll get that. Okay, let's see here. So item 6 is the tavern activities report for the month of May, which is in your packets. Anything notable on the report, Chief, that you wanted to talk with us about?
Got my attention that someone was trying to sell an otter, but I'm glad we got it to a safe place.
That caught my attention as well, and someone bought the otter to save it from the seller, so, it's not something you see every day.
Nothing terribly out of the ordinary.
No, it seemed like a pretty low-key month. Does anybody have any questions on anything that you see on the report? If not, we'll place that report on file. And then item number 7 is our community outreach update. So we'll bring up our outreach coordinator, Tracy Durante. Welcome.
Thank you. So my emphasis, of course, in this report is the shelter. In our first month of operation, we saw 110 unduplicated guests in our shelter. About 25% of those are women, and about 16% of those are actively employed. We had some success in getting a couple of our folks housed in the month of May. So 2 individuals were housed for the month of May, and we did reunite one female with family in Wisconsin Dells. We are currently, even this month, we've gotten one other individual housed the month of June, and last week Friday, I spent some time up in Anago transporting a female to services and supports in Anago. So we're slowly moving the needle, but we're also taking care of the most vulnerable in our community. Our census, as far as the beginning of shelter, our lowest census day was 30 and our highest was 58. So I think it goes without saying that there was a narrative out there that maybe people didn't want to access the shelter because it was run by the Wausau Police Department. But I think our numbers would prove that to be false. So we're really excited that we're there for them. For the most part, we're having really great success. So I just want to say publicly to the community who stepped up to not only provide volunteer hours, which for the month of May was 1,030 hours of volunteer time spent in our shelter. But I also want to thank a lot of our local establishments who provided meals for the month of May and into June. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those. Otherwise, this is my report for the
Well,
month.
there's good things happening there, and I think part of what came out of our joint meeting that we had over at the UW with our partners at Marathon County was that not only is the shelter a place that's safe, that's well-run, where they can come and feel that they're not only welcome but treated with dignity, but I think it's huge that you have the space to split guests up and, like separate males from females, and really have that safe space for both. Knowing that with the census that a number of our shelter guests are employed and they need that peaceful rest to be able to work and function properly on their jobs. I think that's great. I'm so proud of the work that's happening there. So does anyone have any questions for Tracy about her outreach work or about the shelter? Council was invited to volunteer at the shelter on Monday, the 23rd. I think just over half the council has signed up for that. I think it is 5 or 6 council members and the mayor will be there on that night. We're working on coordinating the dinner. Council will be providing the meal that night, and so looking forward to rolling up our sleeves and having you put us to work wherever you need us. So
Perfect.
excited about that. Anything else on the shelter operation, Sarah?
What time do they need to be there?
Since you're new, we would ask that you come anywhere between 5:15 and 5:30 so we can give you a nice tour of the facility and then kind of talk through what the
We
tasks.
will require some training.
Yes.
So, perfect. Okay. Sarah?
So I was looking at the challenges and opportunities, and it looks like maybe the ongoing support and case management sort of is still the gap, but that's something that the task force, I mean, it's still in the works, right? Because there's
Yeah.
still lots of things being bantered, yeah. And I didn't know too, because I know there's systems that you can catalog information for folks, and like NCCAP has a system, right? And are they sort of in silos? You can't like cross,
I mean, are you speaking of the HMIS system, Clarity?
maybe.
So if you are a member of that, through the continuum of care, you have access to that. And then if you're not, you don't. So one of the things that we put in place is a by name release of information. And that is so when we get into a big room and we talk about cases, we can actually refer to people by name for those of us that aren't in that system. And part of my paperwork in shelter is having everybody complete that ROI. So of the over 110 guests now that we have in shelter, we have that release of information on file. So I have the ability to work with anybody.
And is access to that database, would that be helpful for us to have access to as well as a city, or no?
I think it would be helpful, but I don't think it's required for us in order to do our work. I think that there is some opportunity there for our clients if we were to have access to that, but I also think that we have community partners that have access that if we just partnered with them, we could accomplish the same thing.
Okay.
Our task force that the United Way is running in parallel with the city-county joint task force is actually talked about that last week. And the fact that just being able to, with the work that already has taken place at the shelter, being able to network and, recognizing that that person that needs services doesn't need to have 8 conversations with 8 different agencies, but then can have those agencies recognize what they have that can help that individual person, and then dispense those services if people are willing to accept them, rather than have to traverse all of the different agencies and fill out all of their different eligibility stuff, and then, maybe or maybe not finding things that are a match. It's less of a quest for the recipient, I feel like, with you guys being able to talk to one another now.
Right.
So,
Yep. And I would say that, like, my approach with every client that I'm trying to help is to, identify who their care team, and that's what I call it, their care team is, whether that's Inclusa workers or North Central Healthcare Case Management, whoever it is, we all get into a conversation together about that client's needs, and then that way nobody's doing duplicate work and things like that, and we all are on the same page. So
it's
that's
going to
very
save time for
beneficial.
the agencies too, so I think that's huge, that they can do more for more.
Yeah.
If they're coordinated in their efforts, so.
Yeah, because I
we were.
just think it would be really exhausting to do it like 8 times. I mean, if you're already like sort of down on your luck and you're trying to coordinate this stuff.
If you're having a hard time, I think the last thing you want to do is spend an entire day trying to navigate red tape when you are just trying to get help. So I feel like they've made some serious inroads in being able to coordinate. So the task force, at least last week, was super appreciative of that effort, so.
So I think if you think to that meeting that we had over at the UW, one of the takeaways from us, we looked at Pathways Home, which is the strategic plan to end homelessness in La Crosse County. And we recognized as a task force, we can't just take their plan and apply it to us because we're a different community with different needs. But one of the things that was very attractive in their plan was a county staff person and a city staff person. And one of the professional responsibilities was to, one, have a release of information that everyone signed. And then they held and facilitated meetings every week to accomplish exactly what you're talking about, which is person A, who everyone knows who that is, and they're not a number and they're not a generic person, like hypothetically speaking. And then all those providers are like, how can we help that person, and how can we make sure we're not doing the same thing twice? And to create efficiency so that they can help more people. And so I'm certain that when the city and the county get together and establish what is our plan here, that'll be a key component of it.
Perfect. Anything else on outreach work? If not, we'll place.
Yep,
Go
a little
ahead.
bit.
Sorry.
I'm not sure this is outreach, but I report to this committee on what are we doing with ARPA dollars and where are things at. And I think we closed, the Board of Public Works, the first week of June, opened one proposal to provide long-term shelter. Being there was one proposal, I met with the county administrator. We evaluated that proposal. It is responsive to everything that we asked for. That's Bridge Street Mission. They have unfinished 8,200 square feet that they're committed to privately fundraising to build out and turn that into a facility that would be similar to what we have with men's and women's facilities. It's being professionally designed to meet the needs of emergency shelter. Our next steps are to establish what would a contract with them look like. The mayor and I have met with members of their board, as well as Craig Vincent, as well as the county administrator. So exigency is very important because one thing doesn't happen without the other in building out their space, and construction takes some time, and we know that I would love to get out of the shelter business by the end of the year. Maybe that's doable, maybe it's not, but the longer we wait to make decisions, or you wait to make decisions as a council and us to bring it to you. So within the next month, my hope is to, either through the form of a special meeting or a COW, be able to bring that to you so a decision can be made. All the information is transparent and available, and we can look at what the future of that looks like in this community so that our community partner in Bridge Street Mission can move forward.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Yep, so if that requires either special committee meetings and special council, or if it requires a committee of the whole and a council, whichever pathway you guys prefer as a staff, let us know. I think we're happy to fit that in. I mean, that's important enough that in a specific month, if we would need to have the second meeting where we maybe wouldn't have, I think that's something that everyone would be agreeable to, because we all on the council are looking for solutions. So just keep us posted on what your needs are and when, and then we'll try and get that figured out, so.
Thank you.
But, perfect. Anything else on outreach? If not, we'll place Tracy's report on file, and that's our last agenda item, so I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion. to
Motion from
adjourn.
Larson, is there a second? Second from Lukens. Further discussion? Hearing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one's ever opposed. We'll stand adjourned then. Thanks, everyone. And for those who have signed up to volunteer at the shelter next Monday, we